Good evening and welcome to the platform, everyone. You're welcome to another episode of the Nigerian Leadership Series under the African Leadership Group. And my name is Sonny Enebi. I'm co-host to Pastor Itwa. I'm sure he will join soon. But while we wait for him, I want to especially welcome our guests to the platform and Mr. Yomi Badejo Okunsanya. You are welcome, sir. Today, okay, we can't hear you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
All right. Today we're going to be looking at another very, very interesting topic. I dare say a topic that many people have not really thought about, managing Nigerians' reputation. You know, when we were much younger, our rep meant a lot to us. Reputation meant a lot, so managing Nigerians' reputation. Are we gaining? Are we losing? And Mr. Yemi Badejo Okunsanya is the DG, Nigerian Reputation Management Group, and lead partner of CMC Connect. DG, Nigerian Reputation Management Group. You are welcome, sir. Maybe we start from there.
Can I please read his profile, sir?
Hello?
Hello, Pastor Sonny. Can I please read this profile?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Olu, must you?
Please, let us know who you are properly. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Yomi Badejo Okunsanya, lead partner, CMC Connect, LLP, Perception Consulting. Yomi, or YBO, and I call him my uncle, as he is popularly called. He's a renowned veteran in the marketing communication industry with over 34 years to his credit. He started his career in 1988 and he later founded CMC Connect, LLP, in 1992. He is widely known to be one of the leading public relations practitioners in Nigeria and Africa with experience in the areas of government relations and legislative affairs, perception management, marketing, advertising, public relations, and crisis communications, where he has consulted for many multinationals and governments, both home and abroad. YBO is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, where he was past chairman of the Lagos State chapter and also sat on its governing council. He sits on the board of several commercial and voluntary organizations in Nigeria. He served as respectively as Secretary General and later President of the African Public Relations Association, APRA, where he superintended over the practice on continent between 2016 and 2023. YBO has bagged several awards in his profession, including the prestigious PR Golden Eagle Award as the most outstanding public relations person of the year 2010. The first recipient of the Bob Obuagu Leading Award in 2017 for positively impacting the Nigerian PR profession and inspiring younger practitioners. The Brandcom Awards Hall of Fame of the year 2021 is induction into the ICCOPR Hall of Fame 2021 and most recently the PR Power List Icon of the Year 2023, amongst others. As a veteran in the field of public relations, YBO is passionate to bring Africa into the mainstream of global public relations practice, especially through its emerging non-governmental organization, affirmative public relations area. And let me add, YBO is proudly an old boy of Igbobi College. I wish Pastor
come
is
on.
here now.
Yeah.
That would be the first place where the that. Well, I present to you this evening YBO Yomi Badejo Okusanya. You are welcome, sir. Over to
Thank
you,
you.
Pastor Son.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Olu. That was very generous. And once again, you are welcome. I think reputation is a very important thing. I think I would let you explain to us what the Nigerian Reputation Institute or Nigerian Reputation Management Group. Is it a government set up group or is it a private group? What is their aims and objective? How did you get into this business of managing reputation? Is it managing reputation of the country of Nigeria or of corporates? Just help our listeners and viewers understand this whole business of reputation before we go into the questions proper. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
And I'm here for allowing me to share this platform. But please also allow me, if I'm right, there are some of my seniors who can give me a knock. They can still give me a knock here. And I wish to recognize them. Please, if you give me the opportunity. I recognize Auntie Yemisi Ransom Kuti. I see a Bola Thomas. I can only assume that is one of my mentors in the business, Mrs. Bola Thomas of Lawson Thomas and colleagues. I see some person who at some point in time, I suspect she was a client, but she's a sister, Mrs. Bosse Coker. And of course, I see Professor Nike Grange. Our parents go way back. And permit me, somebody may take my wife back. The head of the Olumide family is also present here, Uncle Dekunle Olumide. So I'm sorry if I missed anybody out, and perhaps as I go along, I will recognize. But more importantly, please join me in welcoming Uncle Dekunle Olumide, who is the head of the family of my wife. All right. You did ask me a question. My name is Yomi Badejo Okusanya, as everybody, as I've been introduced, and my most people know me as YBO, Yankee Bravo Oscar. You know, that's in short. Please feel free to do that. Everybody calls me that. For as long as I've known professionally, even before I started, I've always wanted to be a public relations practitioner, even when I didn't know what it was all about. But when I was in university, with the University of Benin, by the way, people said I had public relations. Exactly. Somebody who symbolized public relations was a gentleman called Chief Alex Akinyele, and many of you may recall him. He was a one-time Minister of Information of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and before then he had been the Public Relations Officer of, I believe, the Custom Service, the Nigerian Custom Service. And I think that's where I got my inspiration from. And I said to myself, I wanted to be a public relations practitioner. I knew that even, well, maybe when I left school, exactly. And from then I started out in advertising because there were no full-fledged, full-service public relations firms. So I started out in a company called CT&A, Cornelius Tay and Associates. And I'm sure the older people will remember Mr. Tay very well. In a short while, I rose to become a director in the firm. And then I was allowed to set up that focused on public relations. Well, not actually, first marketing and public relations. And it was after then that I then decided to set up shop in 1992, June 1992 to be precise, setting up an organization then known as Capital Marketing and Communications Limited. in short, CMC. It has metamorphosized over the years. We celebrated our 32nd anniversary this year, so we're going to our 33rd. Now to your question, what is the Nigerian Reputation Management Group? It is a private sector-led initiative of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. I am a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, as I've also been introduced. I used to be a past council member. I was a past chairman of the chapter in Lagos State, which then we call the Premier Chapter, or we still call the Premier Chapter. And why did we set this up? Let me just give you a little analogy. I visited a few establishments yesterday, even this morning, and you get to the gate, and somebody at the gate would ask you, who are you looking for? Who do you want to see? Why are you here? And you'd have to explain, and sometimes they pick up the phone or they get in touch with someone, and you are allowed in. Unfortunately for us in Nigeria, our reputation gate has been unmanned for a very long time. So all kinds of people have walked in and walked out. So it's not surprising what kind of reputation that we have as a country. And the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations then decided that this cannot go on for much longer, that we are the ones who have been professionally equipped and trained to man those gates. And that's what gave birth to the Nigerian Reputation Management Group. And what is it? Basically, for you to manage the reputation of a country, you must be intentional and you must be deliberate. And we haven't done that in a long time. There have been attempts to do this, and I hope I have the opportunity to explain why the previous attempts have failed and why we are now rebuilding it from scratch. So this new initiative is to, in a nutshell, to help us or to man the gates of our reputation gates as a country. That's what has given rise to it. The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is the only organization that has been recognized by law, by Decree 16 of 1990, which has become an act of the National Assembly, that we are entrusted with the responsibility of managing public relations practice in Nigeria. We were set up in 1963, and our founder was a man known as Sam Epele, Dr. Sam Epele. And we had the likes of, who is surprising, Chief Kule Ojora and a few other people who came together to form this body. So this year we are 61 years old, and we have just decided that we cannot let this go past us. Like I said, it is our responsibility. We have taken up that responsibility, and that is why we came up with an initiative, a private sector-driven initiative known as the Nigeria Reputation Management Group. This group is going to be run along the lines of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, because when we are speaking about economy, we must also speak about reputation. Without reputation, there cannot be an economy. In fact, the precursor of economy is reputation, because people will only invest in what they think they can get out of the country. Let me stop here for the time being, but in a nutshell, that is introducing the Nigeria Reputation Management Group.
Well,
thank you very much.
Okay.
I think Pastor Etua is in now.
Sonny,
No, I was just going to introduce you that you are in, that you heard what he said. So I was just trying to probe what the Nigerian Reputation Management Group does. But so you have introduced what it is. Have you guys made any gain so far? Anything you can report to us? What strides, what inroads, what successes have you made since it was set up?
Okay, thank you very much.
Pastor, I think after this you can go ahead. Yeah.
Let me welcome Pastor Ichua Igodalo. He's a brother, my Egbon, that I love very, very, very much. And you know what I'm going to say next. We agree on many things except the school that he attended. I attended Igbobi College, and then he attended one school somewhere, let's not mention the school. But he has promised me that his son will attend Igbobi College. So we're set. I'm looking for trouble, but I'm ready for the trouble.
I come in peace.
I didn't come in peace. You know my story.
I come in peace. Because you are now trying to manage the reputation of your school. That's part of Nigeria. That's part of your Nigerian reputation management. That's the reason why you started this thing. Because of that school. That produced a few. I won't say more than that.
Anyway, I'll come back to you, Pastor Itua, and that school that he attended. Now, we only launched this 2 weeks ago. Actually, we only launched it 2 Tuesdays ago, I beg your pardon. And we launched it in Abuja at the Rotunda Hall of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We had in attendance 2 pivotal personalities. One is the Honorable Minister of Information, Alhaji Idris Mohammed Malagi, and then the other was the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Tugo. And the whole idea of it was that one looks after our external image, our external reputation, and the other does it internally, takes it from internal. So it is too early, but I can share with you our activities, what we intend to do, what we have put up on what we're doing. First and foremost, we have requested from the federal government of Nigeria that October 15 every year be declared as the Nigeria Reputation Day. And what is that? It's the essence of it is that we will be focused on issues that will enhance our reputation on that day. And that will be celebrated both locally and internationally. Remember, I said to you that what we want to do is deliberate and it's intentional. So we're not doing this, it's not an event. It is an initiative. Alongside of that, we're coming up with what we call the Reputation Charter, which we're going to get organizations, and I believe the Africa Leadership Group will also join us, to sign up for or sign up to. And basically, what will that charter be? It will be the do's and don'ts of how we can add to our reputation, or let me use the word enhance our reputation, or highlight those things that we cannot and we must not do to detract from the reputation of the country. Number 3, we are going to have annual reputation summits. And those of you who are familiar with the Nigeria Economic Summit, you know what I'm talking about. Like I said, there cannot be a viable economy if you don't have the reputation. Otherwise, you go to places or countries like Afghanistan, nobody will invest in Afghanistan at the moment, or very few people will invest in Afghanistan, and there are other war-torn countries, or strive, or even Southern Sudan, or even Sudan in itself, because a lot of stories that emanate from those places will make the investment there difficult, the investment dollar. So we're going to have a summit where we will put on the front burner issues of reputation, just like the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. And I'm not ashamed to say we are borrowing a leaf from them. When you see something that is good, borrow from it, that we will discuss it. Number 3, we'll have annual reputation reports. And what are those? The whole essence of it, there will be trackers that will let us know, measure what we're doing, how well we're doing it. So there'll be indicators that in this area, this organization, this how well we're doing, this how poorly we're doing in certain areas, and what do we need to improve on those. We're going to come up with advocacy campaigns, and some of it you've seen before. Remember, I said to you, what went wrong with those ones that were done before? I hope you'd ask me that question, and I'll be glad to answer you. But we're going to have campaigns, and then we're going to have what we call workshops And part of it is what has already started now. We're going to go to organizations and make them reputation conscious. I do wish I could have projected the logo of the, maybe I'll be able to do that, project the logo of the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, I beg your pardon. Our tagline, some people call it a slogan, is reputation first. So what are we saying? Mr. President, reputation first. Mr. Governor, reputation first. Mr. Local Government Chairman, reputation first. Mr. Managing Director, reputation first. All of us were assaulted a few days ago where somebody who ordinarily should be described as being honorable did something very dishonorable. The only reason why that happened was that he didn't think of his reputation first. He didn't put the reputation of the office he holds first. He didn't put the reputation of the organization he represents first. And definitely he didn't put the reputation of his constituents first. So we want to bring back consciousness to Nigerians, that you'd look at this and you'd ask yourself, this thing I'm about to do, does it enhance my reputation? Does it enhance the reputation of the organization that I represent or the people that I represent?
Okay, that's very, very good. Very, very exciting. And I'm really, really pleased and excited. And I'm happy that someone like you is actually deeply involved in this kind of thing. And I'm happy also that you said you are borrowing a leaf from Nigerian Economic Summit Group, like you've always borrowed a leaf from King's College, Lagos. So, so that's okay by me. And I can see that you're actually trying to speak and act like a true King's College boy. And they are really, really struggling to
Pastor,
manage.
may I warn you that Ambassador Adekunle Olumide is on this platform, and he's a proud old Igbobian. So, and you know, he's a chairman of One Body We Represent. So I would ask you to refrain from dissing Igbobi College.
Yes, that's why I've been managing his reputation. Because and that's why he's very happy to associate with people like me. He has about 3 King's College points on his board. He knew what he was doing. You covered the shortfall. So, my brother, I'm so happy. But I have a few questions. Number one, how are you all going to get government to really take you seriously? You know, because what I have learned, you know, working with government, is that certain things they don't take too seriously. Even the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, we've met for many years, a lot of recommendations here and there. I don't know how many of those recommendations they have implemented, and I don't know what fallbacks we have if they don't implement it. That's one. That reputation report is very, very important. And you must also find a way to make sure that it really speaks truth to power. And I know you try and manage the language here and there, but if we don't talk the truth, speak the truth to ourselves, we will again be having a lot of activity that's begging the question. And then number 3, it would be nice to see if you can have a way of actually putting in economic terms what we lose by an inappropriate reputation. You know, you said that people hardly go to Libya these days, they hardly go to Lebanon, this and that and that. You know, if that reputation report can maybe on an annual basis score us reputation-wise, and then tell us how much we have lost in dollar terms by not paying attention to this reputation. If we can even crystallize it to some offices, you know, what's the presidency and the president and his actions or inactions? How has it helped our reputation? What are the governors doing? You know, what is the ministry of this or ministry of that? And what has this policy or this policy reversal or this new policy done to enhance or to net off our reputation? And then also, maybe I should stop there. but there's this Ministry or Department of National Orientation and this and that. I know it's not quite the same, but there might be a nexus there where that department was actually supposed to orientate Nigerians, get them thinking in a certain way, review the way we think, and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what has happened to that. I don't see the thing being very effective. So these are the things that I am concerned about. How will you all get government to really, really take all this hard work that you're about to do very seriously?
Okay, thank you, Pastor Itua. The truth of the matter is that, let me quickly read the core values of the Nigerian Reputation Management Group, and I'll then answer your question with the last core value. Ethics, commitment to constitutional respect for laws, rules, regulations, professional ethic that ensures Nigeria's adherence to the rule of law and ethical conduct as major pillars of our national reputation capital. 2, professionalism. NRMG will strive for a strong national professional base that guarantees high national productivity based on merit and excellence. 3, trust. Encourage Nigerians to drive business, relationships, and leadership success based on trust. 4, communication. Effective goal-directed communication that shall be one of the most essential tools for achieving the goals of NMRG. Inclusivity. As an inclusivity-driven endeavor, the NRMG shall encourage everyone to see Nigeria as a country and be proud of it. And finally, ownership. NRMG will drive accountability and a strong sense of ownership among Nigerians. That makes our national reputation goal a collective one. So why did I talk about the last one? We don't need government, Pastor Itua. No, let me rephrase that. We do need government, but it doesn't start with government. It starts with us. It is a movement. And I believe that there are enough of us in this country that we don't like what is going on and we wish to correct it, that if we form a force, government will have no choice but to join us. Ask the president to please declare October 15 every year as National Reputation Day. But honestly, if they don't do it, I can assure you, we from the private sector will celebrate October 15 as our National Reputation Day. After all, it took a while for government to accept June 12, which was something that actually concerned the entire nation. So we shouldn't expect that it's a stroll in the park. So what is my answer to your question, Pastor Itua? It starts with us. It doesn't start with government. If we decide to do the right thing, if Nigeria Reputation Management Group decides to do the right thing, if the firm that I lead, CMC LLP Perception Consulting, does the right thing, if Trinity House does the right thing, if SIA and O does the right thing, and all of us here do the right thing, it will make a difference. I was on I believe it was Channels, and there's this song that we sing, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." Let your shine, and I don't have to preach to you. He said, let your light so shine. Let your light so shine. I'm sure you can complete that. So first and foremost, it has nothing to do with government. It has to do with you and I. Let us purpose to do the right thing. Let us purpose to make sure, and let's become the gatekeepers. I started by saying that we wanted to man the gates. Let us become the gatekeeper. This is not acceptable. This thing that you have done is not acceptable. And let people know. But this one that you have done is acceptable. I mean, one of the things that we talked about is role modeling. And I forgot to mention that we would have reputation champions. People our younger ones can look up to. And I believe that many people on this platform know we had in my own days or days before me, that a young man would bring a car to come and check a lady, a young girl, and the father meets you, and the first question is, Omotanie, who is your father? I know of a father who, a young man came in a Mercedes to check his daughter out, and the first question the man asked, does your father know that you're driving that car? Leave my compound now. So what values are we holding there? And like I said, it must start with us. There are values we must check. You know, let me digress a bit. It's commonplace now that you say to our children that his name is Olalu Akitan. He doesn't speak Yoruba. His Yoruba is not so good. What does that mean? What does that even mean? We must go back to those days. Pastor Ichwa, I never met your mom, but I can picture who she was because you speak a lot about her. What were those values that she held dear? We must go back to those days. Like I said, that gate has been left unmanned for a very long time. We must go back to those gates. Now, so we don't need government. Let it start with us. Government will join us along the way. You know something about government? When they think it's good for them to be part of the movement, they will get onto it. We've made our approach to them, and hopefully they'll get on sooner than later. If they don't, we will do it. You and I will do it. And that's why we're signing up for the Nigerian Reputation Management Group. You do not have to be a public relations practitioner for you to sign up to the Nigerian Reputation Management Group. We are setting up work groups that would look at various sectors of the economy, of our polity, and we will deal with those issues that will come, that will arise from there. So, yes, it's a tough task, but I think we're up to it.
Well, I like to think so. And honestly, really, really encourage you, because this is one of the pillars that Nigeria needs at this time. A very, very strong, disciplined, tough, unbiased pillar. So you need to be very, very careful in your selection of your officers, so that tomorrow they don't come and start treating you like Nigeria Labour Union and try and corrupt the whole thing and use money to induce people to look the other way and blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot of work. And I think if you can really, really do this work over time, you might even change the trajectory of this nation completely. And even the more ring-fenced you are from government interference, in terms of also funding, because you have to look at that as well, that your funding is totally, totally independent, and you are very, very adequately funded, because this might cost some money to really do if you're going to do it very well. But somebody on the platform was asking why October 15th for the Reputation Day and so on and so forth. So that's one question. The second question is, how are you going to ensure that you ring fence this management group from being influenced or affected or interfered with by government? Because government has a habit of interfering with things that might threaten them, either by threatening those organizations or by bullying them or by corrupting them. What are you putting in your institution, in your framework, to ensure that you're totally ring-fenced and protected from the influence of government?
Thank you very much. Why October 15? We feel that October is the month for Nigeria, and we would have just celebrated our National Day. So we thought that let's keep it within the framework, within that space. So we can use the whole of October to celebrate Nigeria. It's like some people celebrate their birthdays for the entire month. So different things can happen. So we did not do it. We did not choose the October 1 because we realized that that is about independence. And that narrative is different and it is separate from what we've got. So we said, let's give it a 2 weeks period, but within that October, let's see how we can celebrate that. So that's what gave rise to October 1st. And we had a pre-launch, if you can use that word, in 2 weeks ago, because this is not the first. The first edition is coming up on the 25th, on the 15th of October, 2025, Lord sparing our lives. And we are going to prepare for it. So like I said, it's not just going to be an event. There'll be things leading up to it, the summit, the report, and so on and so forth. Now, how do we ring fence this? I think is by making sure that the right people man those gates, and people who are who is difficult. Look, they say everybody has their price, but some of us have chosen that we want to do the right thing. I'm in my early 60s. I'll be lucky if I have another 20 years to live. So what do we want? What do we, and really, Pastor Itua, you know that if some of us had wanted the other way, there would be shortcuts. We would have been there a long time ago. And we've chosen not, it's at huge cost to us. And that's why we come on platforms such as yours. So the day that you see me doing the wrong thing, you know you can call me and say, Yomi, what is that about? And I am accountable. You were not here when we started. I recognize a couple of people that if they speak to me, I stand down. One of them, Mrs. Bola Thomas. I stand down. I don't even want, is it Uncle Drekule that will call me and say, Yomi, what's going on? Apart from the fact that he is my senior in Igbobi College, he's the head of my wife's family. I mean, excuse me. Let me share something with you. My sister-in-law, I think today, was sworn in as Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Nothing
Congratulations,
changed.
by the way. I'm very, very happy about that.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Yeah.
You know,
She's
people have been calling me.
Mm-hmm.
So people have been calling me. And you know, in the house, nothing has changed. The Olumides are known for service, not for making money. So nothing changed. You know, some people are already telling me, oh, they want to see her. And I'm thinking, do you know who this lady is? Jumoke is as straight as a ruler. I cannot even get her to do the wrong thing. Her sister cannot get her to do the wrong thing. That's the family that they belong to. That's why she's been able to get to where she is. So nothing has changed for us in my house. My mother-in-law who stays with us, nothing has changed. Her gate has not, because she understands that that's not the essence of service. That's not what service is about. Service is not aggrandizement. Do I like good things? I do. I do.
Tell me about it.
I like to fly business class. I have to like to drive a good car and all that. Yeah, but I can't do it at the cost of the people that I serve. It starts even from my own firm. And some of my staff are here. I am the last person to collect a salary in my organization. Sometimes, if we have a cash flow problem, the next month meets the previous salary. And some of them are here. I'm sure they can attest to it. If after me is my number 2, we are the last to collect. We can pay everybody. We can even pay everybody 2 months and we have not collected a penny. Because we realize that we can't bring these people to work for us. And then at the end of the day, we start telling them stories. So if you have a mindset of service, can it be foolproof? I'm not sure. There's nothing that is foolproof. But we will ensure. So for instance, this morning, we have, apart from the board that will run the Nigerian Reputation Management Group, We also have what we call the body of advisors. The body of advisors, and is made up of people, reputable people, people who can call us to order, people who would not the leer, or what do you call it? They will not soil their hands. I'm proud to say we haven't finished it, but one of the people that is actively supporting us is a gentleman known as Professor Jerry Garner. And I'm sure many of you know who he is. He's been a minister, but somebody who would stand for the truth and can keep us on the straight and narrow. And let me say if you are not satisfied with what I've said, I please challenge everybody on this platform that anywhere that you see that we are deviating from our principles, please call us to order. If we do not listen to you privately, call us out and we will do the right thing. This project is too important for Nigeria for us to let it slip through.
All right, we'll be watching, and we'll be calling you to order, and we'll see how we. I really pray. I really pray, because we need this organization. We need this organization very, very badly, especially if they can really granulate for us all that we have lost, over these years, from all these things that a lot of us have done without thinking of the real costs of some of our actions. I'm going to deviate a little bit and maybe ask the obvious, and you can plead the fifth if you want, but I'm hoping you take a bite at it. What is the situation with Nigeria's reputation at this point? Question number one. Question number two, is there any other similar organization or group like this anywhere else in the world? I don't know. Maybe you want to advise me. That's just for information. Number three, reputation of Nigeria as someone who is in that area, who understands public relations and so on and so forth. What are the steps do you think Nigeria should take to begin to move in the path of the right reputation? And then the fourth question, similar to number three, although slightly different, is one thing to manage reputation, but is another thing to do the real things that are needed. You can paint a house and all that, make it look nice from the outside, but if the inside doesn't have the values and the strength and the depth, after a while, people will see through the facade. Corruption is a big issue. If we don't tackle corruption head on, they still begin to call Nigeria one of the most corrupt nations in the world. They call us the poverty capital of the world, and so on and so forth. So there's some practical things that need to be done to manage this reputation. So let me hang there for now.
Okay. Let me take the last one first. What are the things that you must do? We've talked about it. Make reputation first. Reputation first. Reputation is not something you put on and you put off. It's not an apparel. As a matter of fact, it must be a lifestyle. So let me give you an example. In South Africa at breakfast, just shortly after apartheid was lifted and we all started going to South Africa. And at breakfast table, somebody asked a waiter, is it possible for me to have sugar? You know what the waiter said? In South Africa, everything is possible. Yes, you can have sugar. If you go to New York and you land at the airport and you take a taxi, the first question the cabbie asks you, first time in New York? And if you dare say your first time, he will begin to tell you about New York. It's a lifestyle. It's something that you must do intentionally and you must do deliberately. Not what we have been doing. We must run it. We must drive it. We must put energy behind it. We must refrain it. The Bible says faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing of the word. So we must preach the gospel of reputation. We must continually, everything we do, we must ask ourselves, does it take away or does it add to that reputation? So for me, we must make it a lifestyle. It's not something we wear and then we take off at night, or we wear when we are going out. You have a public face and then you have a private face. We must wear it constantly. You said to me, what is the situation? I'm going back to your first question. What is the situation with Nigeria's reputation? I'm not sure I even need, because one of the things that drives the Nigerian Reputation Management Group is optimism. We know, there's something that they say that fear is not the absence of courage. I beg your pardon. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is in spite of fear. So our movement, manning the reputation gate, is not the absence of things that have gone wrong. It's in spite of those things that have gone wrong that we have a story to tell. Just earlier on today, I was speaking, I delivered a keynote address. And who am I? I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller. What is public relations? The art of telling compelling stories. That is what public relations, in a nutshell, for me, it's all about. So I'm a storyteller. And what do I'm not a spin doctor. We don't spin things. As a professional public relations practitioner, I don't spin things. But I am a storyteller. And what does that mean? There's a single narrative about Nigeria, which we need to change. This is a corrupt country. How many of us know that India is the rape capital of the world? Nobody tells you that. There are rapes, the rapes that happen per minute, per hour in India. There's nowhere else it happens. We have our challenges. We have our challenge. We definitely have our challenges. And part of it, if I may add, has to do with leadership. I am a firm believer in the fact that everything rises and falls with leadership. So in spite, and I'm not talking about this administration, I'm talking about across board, we've had issues with leadership. So I'm saying that in spite of the leadership challenges, we can bring something out. Yoruba people say, Ninu ikoko dudu le kofunfun tinjade. I apologize for those who do not speak the language. What it says is that agidi or pap or eko, as we know it, comes out of a black pot. So we can do it despite our challenges that we have. We must just identify those things that give us the poor reputation that we carry and see how we can address some of those challenges. And what steps should we take? We're starting with this. Like I said, the first steps is with you and I. We must purpose in our minds that we should not do the wrong thing. I was also speaking at a forum yesterday. My driver has picked up one habit from me. And that habit is that when you're driving and I see people throw things out of the car, that's the only time I get somewhat aggressive. I block them. In some instances, I've asked them to come down from the car or from the vehicle, especially if it's a commercial one, and pick up what they threw down. Now they don't know who I am. So I get away with it. You know what? It has infected my driver to the extent that we're driving and I just see him upset. And I say, Jeremiah, what's the problem? He said, that guy just tossed out a bag from the car. And on a number of occasions, he has also challenged them. What that means is that I have shown him the path to follow, and he has taken it up. If you and I, like I said, this little light of mine, I'm going to make it shine. If you and I do the same, we'll be surprised at how many people we can infect. After all, Jesus had only 12 disciples. Even one of them was a traitor. And today, we have how many Christians all over the world?
Yes, that traitor must have gone to a certain school in Lagos.
I'm going to leave you to Ambassador Lumide.
Let me not name the school. He was a Lagos boy from the Shomolu area of Lagos. That's it. He came. At least now we know you went to a good nursery school. You know that's on this little light of mine. Yeah, use that one to cover
up. Can I tell you a story? Can I tell you a short story?
Go ahead, my brother.
I was anchoring an event, and there was a Alhaji Femi Okuno was the chairman of the occasion. And I believe that the current for staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, represented the speaker, or was the speaker or something. And then Alhaji Femi Okuno then goes, after they have spoken, says, "Oh, which Gbajabiamila is yours? Because I know your father, and he attended, King's College. I wonder how you ended up in that school, Femi and Old Igbobian." And unfortunately for him, I had the privilege of picking up the mic after him. And then I said to him, as our father, our prayer is that we should do better than you. We, your children, should do better than you. He said, yes, he nodded. And I said, so if Alhaji Gbajabiamila, after attending King's College, decided to send his first son to Igbobi College, doesn't that show you that he wants his son to do better than him? Pastor Itua, I'm after you. I will do better than you.
I won't talk much because Femi Gbajabiamila is my friend. But in those days, and it's my brother, so I don't want to impinge on his character. But in those days, there was something called the primary school living certificate. Some people passed, and some people had to manage with whatever they were given. But I'm not saying anything. I'm sure Alhaji Gbajabiamila must have been a little bit disappointed that Femi, pẹ̀lú gbogbo owó tá ná sí ẹ lórí. So, I won't let you have the last word. It's not possible. I mean,
I still have one more story about King's College, so don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's fantastic. It's really, really fantastic. Nigerian reputation. What can we do to begin to do one or two things to look at our reputation? And at this stage, I would hand back to Sonny and Jumoke so that we can take a few questions from the audience. I'm sure they'll be dying to ask you a few questions. By the way, I have to admit that you've spoken very well today. So I have to painfully admit that you...
we look forward to enrolling your son in Igbobi College.
It's not possible. It's not possible. Some things are not possible. It's only with God that all things are possible. With Igbobi College, some things are not possible.
He's coming to Igbobi College. I prophesy, receive it, Pastor.
But you guys have done quite a good job. The old boys, let me be honest with you. And I don't think we King's College old boys have done quite as well as you have.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
I think you guys have done quite a good job, the old boys, with managing your school.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He crackled again.
Yes, because anyway, let me leave that. So, what can Nigeria do with our reputation right now, and what are the things that at the back of the envelope you would even be able saying to the government to do and government related people to do concerning where we are reputation wise?
Okay, Pastor Chua, the problem, I said I was going to address the issue of why the previous attempts failed. I'm sure we remember good people, good something, all kinds of things that it failed because it was top bottom. But this time, we started this journey actually in 2021, and we carried out what we call, we went around the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, and we also took from diaspora. And the end result is what we call a citizen summit for peace and reconciliation. And one of the fallouts of the summit, which we held in 2022 in Abuja, is we should have this Nigeria Reputation Management Group, that we must be more deliberate about reputation. And so the difference is that this one is bottom up, not top down. And that's why my emphasis is that it starts with you and I before we even get to government. Government can be an enabler, just like they should be an enabler when it comes to the economy. They can also be an enabler when it comes to the reputation. Let's take it. Really, and Pastor Chua, you will understand this. When you see a KC boy, you will know, because there are certain things that that conform with a KC boy. There are certain things that they don't know how to dance. They are not very sociable and all of that. But when you see an Igbobian, you will also know an Igbobian, because we're very street smart. We are able to put things together. You understand? Forgive me that I went there, but the truth of the matter is that let's start with us. Let's start with the inculcation of the values. By the way, you did ask me a question. You talked about, is there another organization? Yes, there's the Nigeria, I think it's National Orientation Agency, that is headed by a gentleman called Onilu. He'll be very offended if I cannot pronounce his name. But he used to be the spokesperson for the ruling party, APC. I'll get his name before I leave. It just went off my head. He's a member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations too. I believe he's even a fellow. And what we say is that we are here to complement what they're doing. Now, that is a government-driven organization. We are not a government-driven organization. We are driven private sector. We are private sector driven. So we will collaborate with them. We will collaborate with faith-based organizations. We will collaborate partner with professional organizations. We will partner with community organizations. And basically what we will be selling to them, values. Because when you talk about values, values build trust, and trust builds reputation. When you talk about Dubai, what comes to mind is as a result of some of the values that they have inculcated, which has then come into build trust in certain areas, and then that's what their reputation is all about. Let me not even go to Dubai. Let me go to Africa. There's a Kigali. Many of us have visited Kigali, and it has to do with the values in as simple as nylon bags that are non-degradable and non-recyclable. Recyclable, that's the word. You can't take them into Dubai. And those of you who've been, you know what I'm talking about. When you get to the airport, they take them off you and they give you a paper bag. In Dubai, you can't find chewing gum. So little things, what do you call them, Pastor? Little foxes. Those are the things that they are deliberate about it. They are intentional about it. like I said, we have left our gates unmanned for far too long, and it's time we man it.
All right, no problem. Let me pass on to Pastor Sonny and Jumoke and then see what questions we have. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Etua. I think we have a few hands up, but I'm sure more hands will come up, and Jumoke will take that segment of question and answers. And I'm sure some people will challenge you on the platform and on what you hold. Be ready for the fireworks. But I see that most of the hands that are up are people that you have acknowledged earlier on. So I am hoping that it will be holding you to account for what you have promised that the organization is going to do or what they are doing. I just want to add this before Jumoke takes over, that reputation is not something we can decree. But usually, and I stand to be corrected, when I look at all these great countries we quote that have great reputations that are working with, I have found that it was driven largely by the leader. Whether you want to look at Dubai, whether you want to look at Singapore, whether even we are currently talking about Rwanda, the leadership have driven the kind of reputation they have that we see today, because they set the tone and the people necessarily follow. Because the danger of it is when people don't conform with the kind of reputation you are trying to drive, what do you do to them? For instance, you private sector that you are driving this reputation business, do you have any power of coercion? Do you have anything that you can do? Because I asked AI about reputation of Nigeria, and the things that he said to me are not things I want to say here, but they are things that we all know. But, that's just a comment and a question. Jumoke will take other questions and comment, and maybe you'll take all of them together. We ask in block of threes, and you are able to answer together. Thank you very much. Jumoke, over to you.
Good evening, sir. Welcome to our platform today. And please give my regards to Mrs. Jumoke Oduwole and thank her for keeping the flag burning high for Jumoke's. So I have a question from the chat that I want to add to Pastor Sonny's question, and then I'll take one more from the audience, and then you can take all three. I would also be helping write those questions down. So the question from the chat is, what is the impact of freedom of speech on Nigeria's reputation? So what is the impact of, I would say, well, I think he means restraining the freedom of speech or information on Nigeria's reputation? That's question number 2. And I'm going to ask Auntie Yemisi to please unmute and ask her question, and then we'll take the next set of 3 questions. Go ahead, Auntie.
Good evening. I feel very, very pleased that I watched you on Channels Television announcing this initiative, and then I posted it to the group and said, we must have you on the platform, and here you are, just like magic. I'm happy you congratulated the family. We're really happy that Jumoke got the job, and that we can tell Nigerians that they have someone that is tried and tested and can be trusted. And I'm also happy to have Uncle Dekunle on the platform, so that we're all watching what you're saying in public, so that when we get back to the family environment, we can deal with the fallout. And you said something that is so important, which is that leading by example is so critical to the kind of revolution we want to create. And I want you to keep on emphasizing that in every every part of the implementation of this project. My question is, the collaboration, because I hear a lot more about private sector collaboration. How is there a framework for ensuring the engagement with civil society, organizations like the Nigerian Network of NGOs and various state coalitions that exist? And you talked about National Orientation Agency. Can you give us some specifics of what type of framework of the kind of engagement and collaboration that you think can work? And how can you kind of deepen it so that it reaches the schools, it reaches the grassroots, market women, and other demographics? Now, the one thing that always worries me is consequence management. When people aren't punished, others feel that reputation isn't worth it. That's what you hear when you are trying to correct some people. Is there a way to strengthen the enforcement part of this issue with the police, with other law enforcement agencies? You mentioned Kigali and Dubai, and I think Pastor Sonny mentioned Singapore. I've been to Singapore, and these are authoritarian countries. If you drop a piece of gum on the streets in Singapore, the policeman will arrest you and deal with you. So how easy will it be to enforce this kind of reputation that we want to build in an environment like ours? So, and is that built into this framework that we are trying to launch? Let me stop there and congratulate you for being, as usual, the vocal and very charismatic spearhead of this initiative. I know how many people you are going to bully to make it work.
You got that right, Auntie. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. And some KC people too.
So that's it. That's
Thank you.
question.
Thank you, Auntie Emisi. Thank you, Auntie Emisi. Yeah. So, Pastor Sonny, can I go ahead and answer some of the questions?
Yes, you can take this three. Yes.
Okay, Pastor Sonny, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your question. So can you just give me just an intro of it? And I know because I was writing it, but I missed the core of it. What's that question?
What I said, and I think Auntie Emisi re-echoed it, that most of the countries that we like to talk about where they have a good reputation is driven by the leadership. From the top.
Leadership. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's okay. I got it now. Leadership.
So I'm saying that you are driving your own private sector. How will that impact on the general, nation? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to look for maybe a Bible reference for this. So when the leadership refuses to take it up, what do? We can't fold our hands. I think it was J.F. Kennedy that said, think not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. So if the leadership is not doing it, maybe they haven't gotten around to it, maybe they don't have the vision for it. Yeah, I think I have a reference for it. And we have been waiting for them for a long time, or they've even attempted to do it and they've fallen flat on their faces. And then in Esther, it says, maybe you are created for a time such as this. So it's possible that we have all collectively been created, not just Yomi, everybody has been created for such a time like this. We can only contribute to our own and we go on. We can't change the reputation of Nigeria completely in a day, just like you said. It's going to be a continuum. It's not a dash, it's a marathon. So we'll continue to do that. Where is the import of speech? What is free speech? We are still suffering from the overhang of military rule, whereby people who yesterday were freedom fighters themselves, now today have become freedom curbers. And I don't want to, so that I'm not quoted or I go down a lane that is, or we detract from what we're saying. But the truth of the matter is that one of the hallmarks of democracy is the freedom of speech. And I'm glad that despite attempts to suppress it, people are fighting. I think on the anniversary of October 20 or what happened at the toll gate, I saw some people who were arrested, and even in the Black Maria, they were defiant. You can't shut us up. And unfortunately, social media has done something for us that there are no gatekeepers. When I started the business of public relations, you had almost 24 hours to control a damage, because you will go to the editor or you go to the publisher and say, so. And based on the relationship, they can, find a way around it. Now is instant. You don't need an editor. You don't need a publisher. You don't need a reporter. It's citizen journalism. Imagine what happened a few days ago. The supposed honorable person that acted in a dishonorable way. We all know what it is now. And so I think that genie has left the bottle. So in those days, what will government do? They will shut down newspapers. We remember Guardian was shut down for a long time. Concord was shut down for a long time. Maybe any other publication. If you wrote something against the government of the day, they didn't like it, they shut you down. Radio stations, their licenses were revoked or suspended, but you can't do that anymore. That age has gone, and it has gone forever. The new age we are in has come with its own problems, misinformation, fake news, and all that, but there's absolutely really nothing you can do anymore. When Twitter was banned in Nigeria, I remember some people started using VPN and other things to access Twitter from outside the country. So you can't stop it anymore. It's impossible. So freedom of speech is an essential. It has come and it will stay. I like what Auntie Yemisi said, and I'm going to be, please, I take permission, I'm going to be saying that a lot now. You said, tried, tested, and trusted. It's something for you to be tried, it's something for you to be tested, but are you trusted? And the reason we have the lacuna that we have, Nigeria has such a huge trust deficit. The people don't trust the government. The government doesn't trust the people. Government doesn't even trust governments at various levels, even ministries, even at the same level. Ministry of this one doesn't trust ministry of that one. Minister of that one doesn't trust minister of that one, and so on and so forth. It is. So we must all be not just tried, tested, but we must also be trusted. The framework for engaging all kinds of organizations, which is why I'm doing many speaking engagements. I think this will be my third or fourth for the day. As a matter of fact, I'm hosting a group from outside the country right now. I just asked them to please give me a few minutes so that I can do this, because I'd given my word. This morning, I was a keynote speaker at the Association of Private Educators of Nigeria, APEN. They had their annual conference, their 14th annual conference in Lekki this morning, and I was a keynote speaker. And I was just sharing the same information with them. And what am I looking at with them? A partnership. And I have offered them that we will set up a curriculum on civics, which, because I have members of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations across the country. We are in all the states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. We will teach those subjects free of charge. I will get volunteers who can come in perhaps once a week, twice a week, thrice a week. We will agree on the curriculum and we will teach civics. Is that civic? I think it's called civic or civics. Civic. We did it when we're young, and we will reintroduce it, maybe starting with the Association of Professional Private Educators of Nigeria, and let's see how far it can go. We would also make representation to the Federal Ministry of Education, to the state ministries of education, that they should allow us to start teaching this. Some of us, forgive my Yoruba, ati di ejakika. And what's ejakika? Ejakika means dried fish. We are set in our ways, but we can catch them young. We can go back to the schools and we get them. Let me just finish with this. While we were in Igbobi College, there's something called self-denial fund. And what it meant was no matter how meager your pocket money is per week, you are expected to take an amount out of it and give it, put it in, we did it per class, and put it in a purse, which all went to the less privileged. And that has been with us for so long. So my set in Igbobi College, every year we go to what we call a destination meetup. That's where we have our AGM. So we've been all over the place, Kigali, Uganda. We just came back from Uganda 2 days ago, I believe. Yeah, 2 days ago. And there were 60 of us in attendance. And I can tell you that 25% of the 60 that went could not afford the trip. And they were paid for fully: tickets, accommodation, feeding, transportation. They didn't spend a kobo. Why? Because the motto of my set in Igbobi College is no one left behind. We are our brother's keepers. I can't tell you the amount of hospital bills we've paid. I can't tell you the amount of school fees we've paid. I can't tell you the amount of, and we have a department that does that and doesn't let the other people know. Only the 3 people who administer the fund are privy to those who are accessing those funds. Why am I bringing this thing up? Those are the values that we were taught. We were taught this thing in school, that we must look out for the less privileged. And that's what we're doing. So once those values are inculcated, they stay with you for life. It says, teach a child the way to go, and he will never depart from it. And that's back to what I started with. We have left those gates unmanned for a long time, and it's time we took responsibility for the gates. You and I need to do that. So I've just given you an example, and then name and shame. We may not have the enforcement rights, but let me use the word of, forgive me, the slapper in the incident that happened a few days ago. I'm not sure he'll be eager to go out, because people will speak behind. I'm sure some people will probably even attack him. When I mean attack him, what's that word? Challenge him, not attack him. Challenge him. He can't be comfortable wherever he is. I'm not sure it's easy for him to go back to his constituents. He's had to explain. So we may not have the power of enforcement, but we have the power of name and shame. We have the power of name and shame. We can say to people, these are not the kind of people you should follow. Because maybe there's a young person who is thinking to himself or herself, I want to go to the House of Representatives. And when I get there, I go and be telling people, do you know who I am? We'll tell you that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And I think that even without the deterrent, social media, social interaction is one of the things that we can do.
Thank you very much. We're going to take the next set of 3 questions. I'm going to ask Mrs. Thomas to please ask her question. We've asked you to unmute, and then Professor Grange, and then Ms. Adesua Osime. Go ahead, Ma.
Thank you very much, Jumoke. Welcome, Yomi. Nice to see you on this platform. I know that, let me say, you are very aggressive anyway. And you have been attacking our pastor. You know, don't mind it. But anyway, I'm on your side because
your pastor
my
attacked
uncle,
me first.
my uncle was a great
an old
Bobian.
Bobian, yes,
Great
oldest.
one too, for that
Yes.
matter. So don't worry about that one. I'm
Yes,
supporting you.
yes.
Anyway, congratulations on this new initiative and for you heading it. As a matter of fact, when I heard it, I was just going to give you a call right away to say, well done. What I would like to say is that it's a huge task. And I believe that you know that. I share your optimism about this country. And again, a lot of people will look at you with some kind of, well, how can they do it? Because remember, like the pastor said, we did the why and it ended up somewhere. But what I would like to say is that Nigerians, we are really not so difficult. We're not difficult people. We like to do something if only we have that, leadership guardians. But since we did not have that, that's why we are all doing whatever we like with impunity. So I share your vision and I applaud it. But my question really is that reputation to me is more like personal. It's like personal attitude. It's your attitude that comes to play. So if you know that, how are you going to manage this? Let me say, the monitoring of reputation in your report. Like you said you have some kind of reputation monitoring report. How do you monitor that report at grassroots level? You said something which I think Yemisi also added, that the grassroots level is very, very important. You said you're going to carry it to everywhere. One, how do you do that? How do you do that successfully? Let me say. Then again, two, how do you avoid avoid the government from hijacking this thing from you? I know you said it's private initiatives, they have their own, but then eventually they can frustrate you, they can do everything, they can hijack it from you. How do you avoid it? And again, I am kind of like an advocate to the Catch Them Young policy. We have to go to schools. We have to maybe, bring it up as part of the school curriculum, because somebody who has developed his attitude, how do you change a 45-year-old man? Something that he did not learn when he was young. How do you implement this? How do we get the state governments, government education ministry or whatever to help put this straight into school curriculum? It has to be, learned from young age. And I love the idea of your slogan saying reputation first. We have to build that up into everybody's consciousness. And that's why I would like you to not just do this at this level, involve and engage the AAAN. You know what I mean? They must develop campaigns, billboards everywhere, commercials to drive that slogan into every home and every heart. If we do that, then we'll be proud to say we are Nigerians. And the last of it all, we never have visible consequences for bad behavior, either at the top level or the street level. How do we make people pay for bad behaviors? Like you said, dropping papers on the street. Do we fine them? Like in the US, you can't do that. You'll be fined some money if you drop anything from the bus or whatever. So how many buses are you going to be hijacking on the road, Yomi, to go and stop them? Ask them to come down and pick something. You can't do that. So there must be some kind of consequences for bad attitudes. So having said that, I would like to say congratulations, and we look forward to having a brand new Nigeria from your end. Okay.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Mrs. T. Sorry,
well,
Mrs.
you're
T.
welcome.
Mrs. T was one of my trainers. Mrs. T was one of my trainers. She gave me an opportunity through the company that she was also in leadership on. And a lot of what CMC is today, the roots can be found in the likes of Mrs. T, who did not just take me as a business partner, she took me in as her aburo. As her aburo, yes. And Mrs. T, you'll be happy to know that yesterday we were at Akon. I was preaching this gospel and I met with Lekon Fadolakpo.
Yes, okay.
So we are working somehow. So something is going to come from that area. I'm just taking it back. You say, how do you teach a 45-year-old man new tricks? Have you thought about it? When we're in Nigeria, we're flying to London. When we're in Nigeria, we're all over the place. We are screaming. We are, and you get to London, you line up. The same set of people. Or has it ever amazed you? Or you're coming back from a trip overseas, they line up. And when we get to Lagos, we change it. So it shows you that it's just about permissiveness. I can get away with it here, but I know I can't get away with it there. Every time, until I was in, about a month ago, I was in Atlanta. For the first time, I refused to drive in America. You know why? Because I thought to myself that, look, Yomi, I don't want to get into trouble. Maybe the way I drive in Nigeria, I would forget, I'll get to a junction, when they say you must stop, and then I'll go, I beg, let me leave it, because I know there are consequences. So we must do that. We must be able to get people to realize that there are consequences for bad behavior. Ms. T, you talked about personal attitude. I agree with you. That's why I said one of our core values is ownership. It starts with you and I. And we must just monitor. We must be peer review for one another. So I'm speaking now, not because I'm 100% good, but I will bear in mind that I had this discussion. So perhaps when I'm doing the wrong thing, or if I'm doing the wrong thing and I see a Pastor Itwa, I will reset myself. Or I see a Mrs. T, or I see an Auntie MEC, or I see a Professor Grange, because I've said it. So it starts with us. I know government will come in, but let it start with ourselves. My driver knows that he cannot drive, no matter how late we are, he cannot drive on the wrong side of the road. He can't even drive on the curb. He knows it. Especially when my car carries, an Igbobi college sticker. He can't do it. He knows it. So in our own little sphere, let's make the change that we want to see. Let our word be our bond. And I'm sure if each one of us do that, then we will see a difference. I have many hands up. Thank you.
So we are going to take...
Unfortunately, I'm hosting a group and I told them that I needed to, I had this meeting at 5 o'clock. We are now at 6:30 and they are they're out they're Nigerians, but out of the country. So if we can make it as compact, maybe set a time. I've told them that I will be with them. We're at dinner, but I just told them I had to take some time off. I do.
So maybe another 15 minutes.
10 minutes. Can we do 10 minutes?
Let's do 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes.
Thank you.
10
okay,
minutes.
thank you.
Hello.
So I'm going to ask everyone to please keep their questions very, very short, 30 seconds or less. We have 30 minutes. 10 minutes, sorry. 30 seconds or less. Go ahead, Professor Grange, with your question. Thank you, ma. Okay. Professor Grange, your question, please. All right. While we're waiting for her, I'll take Auntie Adesu Osime. Please go ahead. 30 seconds or less, your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. It's thrilling that somebody is taking the bull by the horn. Some of the things I wanted to ask have been talked about: funding, how to carry the government along. The area I want to ask is, how do you plan to educate the grassroots? Because I think they are vital. They are the ones we really need to carry along. Those of us that were privileged to have parents who brought us up with the right, like the Hodalos. My father brought me up to telling me that I have what money cannot.
Sorry to cut you short. Please, can you go to the question, because we are very short on time? If you don't mind, I really apologize.
Yes, education. I mentioned education. I said, how are you going to educate the grassroots? Because they are vital. The point I was trying to make about what I was taught as a child, my father taught me that I have what money cannot buy. Mm-hmm. And that is what has held me and made me keep the principles till today.
Thank you.
My word is my bond. People who know me know my word is my bond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
On a note, my son went to KC, so it's up KC, and I'm booked to go to Kigali. I'm booked to go to Kigali.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Professor Grange, please, I think I've asked you to unmute. Please go ahead, ma.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Yomi.
Thank you, Auntie. Nice to hear from you, Auntie.
Sorry, there's no time to chit-chat.
30 seconds.
So let me just, I've done my 30 seconds. One thing I would like to remind you of is that there is an opportunity to hold the government responsible for what they are not doing. Every year, they're supposed to give reports on the various treaties which they have signed. For example, the rights of the child, human rights, sustainable development goals, etc. And every year they cook up those reports. So please look into them, get them to do what they're supposed to do. And if they don't do it, we can get the international agencies to hold them to account. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. Sorry, Jumoke. Can I say something that I saw today? Look, something has already started. The revolution has started. There was something that was posted. I'll look for it. I'll send to Pastor Itua. Maybe he can share it. It talked about the governor's office expense relative to internally generated revenue, IGR. I don't know if you have come across it. It was released today. It was released today.
Do you know? Budget.
Yeah. Do you know that there's a state that is spending over 100 and something % of internally generated revenue on government house expense? It's out there.
Yes.
So we can hold these people to account. Now that governor is going to shrug it off. He's going to say, but really, I'm sure he can't be happy with it. Gradually, we will hold them to account. This is what the social media has helped us to do. The internet and the technology. It's difficult for them to hide anything again.
Okay.
So, Auntie, I agree with you. Yeah.
We're going to take this last two questions so that you can just group them together. Okay. And I believe Pastor Ito also has. Go ahead, Mr. Titus.
He's my junior in school, so I can tell him to sit down.
Thank you, YBO, for the presentation. I can relate with I remember the SDF at Baby College, and we missed you when you came to Atlanta, the Baby College Atlanta chapter.
Yes.
Anyway, my question or comments quickly, is that Nigerian reputation is bad as it is in Nigeria, but I think the most important part of the reputation management should be in the diaspora, among the Nigerians in the diaspora. I see a lot of chat forums where they bastardize Nigeria. They say negative things about Nigeria because of the way they are perceived. How do you engage the Nigerians in diaspora to be more favorably disposed to the reputation of Nigeria?
Thank you. Mrs. Adetula, please. Go ahead, ma.
Thank you very much. I just want to comment on the aspect you touched on curricula, integrating some of the things into the curricula. Just to warn you that don't be too sure, because when I was in NDLEA, I coordinated the development of preventive drug abuse education curricula and we got all the approval from all the commissioners of education, chairman, the federal minister of education. I'm not sure if they are doing it right now. That was 1996. So I'm just trying to tell you, don't be too optimistic. I don't know what they are going to do. Thank you. That's all.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. If you could take all those questions or comments, and then we'll bring Pastor Ituah back. Thank you so much.
So I want to put it like this. I don't believe that Nigeria's reputation is bad. It's challenged. And you are probably going to tell me that I'm going about semantics. Why? Because one requires my optimism to keep me going. Because if I look at all the issues that are there, I'll decide, look, let me just leave it. After all, like they say, no be me kill Jesus, you know? But it's challenged. Challenge means that we can find solutions to it. And that's what we are all doing. We can propose solutions. That's what we're doing here. So I will continue. How do we engage people in diaspora? Again, because there are no gatekeepers. There are no gatekeepers. So nature abhors a vacuum. And it's, like I said to you, I'm a storyteller. So my ability to tell a compelling story in spite, remember what I said, courage is not the absence of fear, it's in spite of fear. Reputation is not the absence of issues, it's in spite. So we're still going to work at it. We cannot afford to be deterred. And I think that same goes to Mrs. Adetula's question. If you don't, how do you say it? If you don't succeed, try and try and try again. I hear you, but we're going to give it our best shot. We're going to give it our best shot. There was a story in the Bible of the woman who went to the judge, and she knocked and persistent. And she was persistent, I beg your pardon, until the judge gave in to her. So who knows? Maybe the next strike is what may very well bring down the wall. Because I'm sure, I talk to people in government, and I'm sure Pastor Ituah does, like every one of us. They too are not happy. They just don't know what to do about it. They are not happy. Nobody is happy. Even if you are stealing all the money and you are settling your family, how about the people in your village? If you have a brand new car now, you have to watch where you drive the car to. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. My wife had to travel to Ekiti last weekend. We had to go and look for a pickup because we didn't want to drive any car that would attract attention on the way. And we're getting to that point, or we're even already at that point. She traveled in a pickup, so nobody would know that there's, probably just imagine, maybe there are some drivers or something going along the way. That's where we are now. So until it's a collective issue that all of us must address. So those guys who are in government and they're making all the money or stealing all the money or whatever, they are canning it, they're stealing of it, they can canning it, they themselves are feeling the pinch. So we must be the solution providers. We will continue knocking, Ms. Adetula. Since you have done it with NDLEA, maybe I'm going to ask you, I'm going to get your contact, and you've done it before, there's no need reinventing the wheel, and I can help you in developing this curriculum.
Thank you very much. I'm going to bring back Mr. President to speak. I'm so sorry we're not taking any more questions because of
apologies.
Time. Yes. We'll probably have to bring him back another time. So apologies that we can't take your questions at this time. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. President.
Let me thank you very much, my brother. You've done very well. You've spoken excellently well. And this initiative is really, really fantastic. And I pray that God gives us the energy, the resources, and everything to make it happen. And it's one of the pillars of the ALG, by the way, to ensure that things are done right and right things are done in Nigeria. So I'm sure that we'll have a way to meet with you and see how we can cooperate. We have two areas, the School of Leadership and Governance called SOLAG, that is supposed to teach people the right values, the right ethics, the right morality, if they really want to go into leadership, and the strategies to employ. We're hoping that with that, we can identify leaders, present and future, for Nigeria. There's also the IOI, Itwa Olajide Godalo mentorship scheme, which is for young people to be mentored. You know, like you said, civics is no longer being taught. You know, in school, King's College, we learned civics. We learned how to behave appropriately. We learned how to be true King's College boys and so on and so forth. These days, even in our dear King's College, I'm not sure they learn any of those things anymore. Omotani, Uruko Babe, Kiloruko, this and that. You know, everybody just behaves anyhow. And a country without values, a country without morality is going nowhere. You know, Singapore was built on the back of values and ethics. And that's part of what we're trying to do in the IOI mentorship program. And it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of us to make sure we behave right. I know what it has cost me, just like you, to try and pursue this path. We know what to do. If we wanted to make money in Nigeria, we know what to do. We have the access. But we just decided that let's try and do things right. And I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you. I want to really, really doff my hat to you guys. And I look forward to this group doing some really phenomenal things. Don't be discouraged. A lot of people will come and discourage you. Don't be put down. A lot of people will say, what's your own there? And so on and so forth. All sorts of Sambalats and Tobiases that don't want Nigeria to make real progress. Just know that it's a very lonely walk and it's a long run walk, and you just have to keep at it and pay the sacrifice. Okay? God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
God bless you.
So much.
Can I ask for a question? If there's a way I can get all the questions, maybe Pastor Luke can help me or something, so I can look at all the questions, maybe screenshot them and please send them to me. I can use them as input in what we're doing. And then those I've identified on the platform, I'll be reaching out personally to you because they are very, it's like a big compound that has many gates. There are gates that each one of us can man, and that's what I'm going to request that we do. Thank you.
All right. God bless you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest
All
of
right.
your evening.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Great, madam, for me. Okay. Thank you all very much for being on the platform today. I think we pray that the organization will really pull the resources that it needs. My sister, Mrs. Bola Thomas, how are you? Great to see you here. God bless you. Our bro, we thank God for everything. Thank you all. God bless you all. Professor Nike, thank you so much. And TMC, thank you for your great support and leadership. God bless everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Pastor Itwa. Thank you. And thank you, my sister Jumoke. God bless you.
How are you?
I'm today in New York.
Yeah, in New York. Okay, all right.
Yes, and I met with my sister Jumoke in California, San Francisco. We met.
Oh, fantastic.